Hi, thanks for joining me. This is Angie at mychickenscratch.com. Today we're making a jelly roll quilt.
Miss Kate, Bonnie and Camille by Moda Fabrics. And what you're going to do is open up the jelly roll. You want to leave it as it comes on the roll or in the package. And normally that's what you would do, but I have found, I've made several of these, and what I like to do when there's fabric that's exactly the same side by side, I like to remove those. So for example, we have 3 fabrics here that are the same color. That means those are going to get attached to each other. So I'm going to separate this into a couple different colors. So I've got red, and I don't mean a couple different colors, I mean a couple different stacks. And you'll see what I mean in just a second. So I've got red, red, and then blue, blue, and blue. I'm going to set these aside for a second. Okay, so there are my 3 stacks. And then what I'm going to do, since this is my first stack, I'm going to start with this piece here. So what I'm going to do is take this one, lay it there, and then this one, and lay it there. So this is going to be, I'm going to start with this stack, and I'm going to sew every one of these together. But the first thing I'm going to do before I sew it is I'm going to remove the salvage at the end, because I want to sew this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to remove this from every single one of them, and I'm just going to stack these up, and then I'll flip it over when I get to my sewing machine, because that's the one I want to start with. So I'll do a couple. Okay, I've got all my strips ready. What I'm going to do is lay it on my lap. I'm going to pick up the very first strip, one end, and now before I attach the other one, I want to tell you, you need 2 full bobbins to make one of these quilts. So go ahead and have those ready so you don't have to stop midway. So now I've got the end of the first strip. I'm going to pick up one end of the second strip. I'm going to put them together, right sides facing together. And then I'm going to place it up here. I've got my 1/4 inch seam foot, presser foot. So I'm just going to place it on here. Sew straight across. I'm just going to lift the foot just a tad and pull it out just enough to give me some room to sew the next one. So I'm picking up the end of this second strip, and I'm going to pick up the beginning or one end of the third strip and do the exact same thing. And you're going to do this to all the strips. There's 40 strips. When you get them all done, you're going to have 1,600 inches, one long strip. So again, I'm just taking the end of the third strip, I'm picking up the 4th strip, and I'm just going to sew straight across. Now, one of the things I did not mention is that my version is different than some of the other videos I've watched on the jelly roll race quilt. That's a mouthful for me. You are welcome to change it, make it however you want. I'm not very good at sewing at a 45-degree angle, so I decided to make mine straight. So I'm going to sew a couple more of these for you, and then what I'll do is I'll pause the video and show you the next step. Okay, so we've got all the strips sewn together, all 40 of them. This equals 1,600 inches of one big long strip. What you're going to do now is separate these. So you're just going to trim that thread right there. I don't know that you want to watch me do this whole thing. So what I'll do is just do a couple more, and then the next step after you trim all these is you need to remove 18 inches on the very last strip. So I will just grab that last piece and go ahead and trim that real quick. And I can do this when I turn the camera off. So this blue strip here is my very end. So all I'm going to do is just place it here on my mat and trim 18 inches. And that can go on my scrap pile. Okay, so once we get done trimming all these threads, I'll go ahead and talk while I'm cutting. What we're going to do is we're going to put the two ends together, and then we're going to place them together, right sides facing together, and we're going to sew down the right side. But I will show you that over there at the sewing machine. Okay? Okay, so I'm back at my sewing machine. I've got my two ends together. I'm going to place them right sides together, and I'm going to sew all the way down to the very end. Again, I'm using the same 1/4 inch seam. So I'm just going to place it on here. Now, what I'd like to do is actually stop every few inches and make sure that I have it lined up. When I get to a seam like this, I make sure my needle is down, and then I will raise my foot a couple times to make sure that it doesn't raise up any. Okay, so I'm getting to the very end of this first strip, so I'm going to finish it and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now that we're at the end, all we're going to do is take our scissors and we're just going to open this up. And we're going to do this every single time we get to the end. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my end here. I'm going to find the other end. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to face the sides together, and then we're going to sew down the right side all the way to the very end. So now I'm going to find that end. Okay, I've got both of my ends together. I'm going to do the same thing, right sides together, and I'm going to place it on the sewing machine and sew it down the entire right side all the way to the very end. I'm going to pause the video, and when I'm at the very end, I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, so we're here at the end again, so I'm going to finish this up. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut straight across. I'm going to open it up. And then now I'm going to find the other end, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to place it right sides together and sew all the way down the right side. And I think I can probably do this one on the camera. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, so here are both of my ends. So the exact same thing, just going to line this up. And the bigger it gets, the more challenging it gets to make sure to keep it straight. So I just stop often. Okay, so we're here at the end again. I'm going to finish this up and then we'll cut it. Okay, same thing. Just going to open this up, take the scissors and cut. Going to open this up. We're going to find the other end and we're going to repeat the process. And I'm going to sew down this right side until I get to the very end. Okay, so I'm almost at the end of this row, so let me finish it and then we'll cut it. Okay, so now we're going to cut all the way across again, and then this is the final time. We're going to put our right sides together and sew along the right side until we get to the very end. Okay, so here we go. Almost at the very end of our final row, so I'm going to wrap this up. Okay, so now we cut it open one more time. And you might find it a little bit easier to do this on a table. So what I'll do is I'll pause the video and pick it back up where we cut it open. Okay, so now we're at the very end, and all we're going to do is take our scissors and just cut straight across. Okay, so now here is our quilt top, and you will see a picture of it, of course, before the video. It turned out beautifully. The next step, of course, would be I'm going to go pick out my backing fabric, take it to the long arm quilter, and she will wrap it up for me. So it may be a little while before you see the finished product, but anyway, I think someone's going to really love this, whoever I give it to. Have a good day. Thanks a lot. Bye.